Hey guys, and welcome to Let's Play Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Obviously a Japanese name. I'm not super familiar with how to pronounce those, but that seems correct to me. So this is a game that is, if I have my dates right, I think this is technically the second Splatterhouse game that was made. I wanted to say the arcade version actually came before this. This is, of course, as you can probably tell, on the NES. So it's definitely pretty old, 1989 if I'm not mistaken. And if we take a look on the menus, actually, you could see Namcot. Yes, that is indeed Namco. This was that weird period in the 80s where they started putting a T on the end of their name for games publishing. Not really quite sure why, but they certainly did it. It even says Namco right underneath it, so I'm not sure what the point is, but, well, they did it. So this is, of course, going to be our Halloween special. Happy Halloween, guys, for 2016. We don't have a password here. We can put some numbers in if we want, but not going to do us any good. Let's go ahead and get started. So we've already seen a bit of this intro scene. You don't really have a whole lot of time you can idle on that title screen before it'll start playing the scene by itself, so didn't want to go ahead and put the whole thing in. Might as well see it here at the start of the game. So, of course, we can kind of recognize the characters from the original game. This is, of course, Rick rising up. I'm not sure why he's dead, but I guess that's just what happens. So, rises up from his grave. That's Jennifer there, getting kidnapped as usual, as she does. She's kind of the Princess Peach of this universe, I guess. And carried off by a weird pumpkin jack-o'-lantern king, I think is his name in the lore. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, this will be our grave. So like I said before, this is a Japanese game. I'm actually running this kind of an English translation patch that's pretty bad. I'm pretty sure whoever did this just threw all the stuff into Google Translate, but makes for some pretty good times. So of course, like all the others, this is sort of a side-scrolling beat-em-up type thing, except this time we just have an axe or a sword or machete. I think it's an axe. He's kind of holding it backwards, but whatever. Yeah, there you go. So you can sort of see the curve. It's a little hard to see, but this time we have that instead of punching, which is a little disappointing. I kind of like being able to punch things. You'll notice a couple other user interface things. We got sort of a Mega Man style health bar on the left, and also you've noticed a 4 out of 10. Every time we kill an enemy, that number goes up by 1. That's kind of a rudimentary experience system. Every time you kill something, you get 1 point, and when you get the number of points that are on the right, so after we kill a couple more things, there we go, we level up, and our health bar, our max health, actually increases by 1. You can do this a number of times. Took a couple dumb hits there, because I'm sitting here trying to explain things instead of actually playing the game. So we're going to be looking to kill kind of as many enemies as possible in these early stages. It won't matter so much later on, but, you know, it's a good idea to get your health up as soon as you can. And this is the boss that sort of sets the tone of the game, if you ask me. This is not a super serious game like all the old, like the arcade games and all that stuff. This is a little bit more of a parody type thing, as evidenced by the fact that we have a vampire with these 4 green zombie monsters, sort of. This is supposed to be, I guess, a rendition of Thriller, you know, so to speak. There's a lot of horror movie references and that sort of stuff in this game. It's very much more lighthearted, while still keeping sort of the same tone and atmosphere. It actually does a pretty good job of that. And in that regard, I'm pretty impressed with this game. But, you know, obviously, I mean, you can even tell just by the character style. Rick is, you know, I hesitate to use the word chibi, but, you know, sort of that sort of smaller cartoon style, that sort of thing. So, obviously, it's meant to be a little bit more lighthearted, but it does actually do a pretty good job of keeping that atmosphere, like I said, from the old Splatterhouse games, so it's definitely an interesting one, that's for sure. So this is pretty simple. As you can see, we're just avoiding the pellets or whatever that he's throwing down while taking care of the enemies that spring up. Then he quite literally pieces out. And that's it. We don't even fight him or anything, just move on. So there's oftentimes a few mini-bosses and stages before we actually get to the end. Just wait on this thing. Health can be refilled. You may have seen us pick up some candy along the way. You can also pick up a burger for a pretty big health refill. We're at full health already, so it's not like it mattered there, but the health refills are actually quite plentiful. This game is not super difficult in the way that especially the old arcade game was. That thing was a quarter machine. It would just eat the quarters right out of your pocket if you didn't know the game. So here's another little mini boss. This one's kind of annoying, because as you notice, it's already getting a little out of hand. All right, we managed to get it under control. So these books will just sort of come out of the bookshelf here, and you notice the screen shakes every now and then. The problem with the screen shaking is that it does actually physically move your character back or forth along the screen, so sometimes you can put yourself in a bad position so you're not actually ready to hit the book, and you get hit by one instead. Alright, and now this is going to be, I think, the actual boss of the stage. You notice me moving a little bit with the screen shaking. That's going to happen quite a lot. Actually, this game likes that effect. So we can destroy the chairs. They will, of course, you know, do something. So I can't tell if it's a doll or if it's supposed to be actually a girl, if it's supposed to be like an exorcist thing with their head spinning around. I'm not sure. This can actually be somewhat tough. You can choose to attack it any number of ways. This is the way I kind of like to do it. Is to try to get the head in a corner and then just keep hitting it repeatedly so it doesn't have time to actually bother you with those chairs. Otherwise, if you try to avoid everything, there's a lot of movement as well as the screen shaking every so often, and it actually gets pretty hard to dodge. This is probably the best translation, be garbage of cesspool. And you notice we get a password. So this makes it also a little bit friendlier. Especially compared to the other Splatterhouse games, the arcade version in particular, is that we can start from different stages even after we run out of lives. There's no lives counter anywhere that's visible right now, but if you were to game over and go back out to the title screen, there will be a continue option along with the number of continues that you have. And those continues will basically put you back at the start of the level you were on. I think you get 4 by default, so it's not super terrible. And, you know, even if you run out of those, you can just continue from the stage. The downside to continuing is that it actually removes all of your life bar upgrades, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to re-level again. This is a pretty interesting little section. We've got a bunch of headless chickens jumping around, coming out of this oven. So it's not clearly stated, but the objective here is to actually hit these knives a certain number of times. So they will sort of home in on your position. They'll target like where you were standing when they start moving. So you can move out of the way, and then, you know, I'm doing pretty poorly, but there's a hamburger up there, so we'll go and grab that, refill our health a bit. There we go. Just get a couple more hits in, and that'll take care of it. And we notice we get, I think it's 10 experience, or 5 or something for those mini-bosses. So you notice me actually physically moving. Now I'm, like, inside of the oven's sprite back there, so that does get kind of annoying. Oh, I got hit by the wood plank. I did not actually know that could happen. I've never seen that happen before. All right, so, well, now we're in the titular cesspool, I suppose. Got these little mutant rat things and mutant worm things. That's definitely not good. Sort of the, you know, Splatterhouse has its water stages. The arcade game definitely did. There was one almost exactly like this, except you were punching, like, water monsters that came up out of it. And these weird little floating spiky things, yep, they're still in here as well. So we can just make our way along. The water doesn't do anything, even though it is sewage, and that would be rather gross. It doesn't do anything other than make you slow down, so no worries about staying in it too long or anything. Some of these will jump short, and some of them will jump long. It can be kind of tricky, because I think there's one type in particular, just like certain enemies will, sometimes they'll jump short and then long, and then it can get real confusing. But we're basically just about to the end here. Got another little mini boss. This one is also somewhat unique. It's this giant rat thing that shoots out smaller ones. We have to go against the wind. Every time you swing your axe, it knocks you back a little bit. So you can't just spam it, but there we go. If you get to the end, timing your hits correctly, you can slash the other one in half, and that'll open your way forward. Also, jumping will cause you to be moved, like, basically all the way to the back. So that's not a good idea there either. This little jump here, this bugs me. Okay, so these are sort of close together. This is really far apart, and then the rest are close together. Like, could they really not have evened those out at all? So this is Devil Town, password 3739, get your playing along. This actually is where the game, I think, starts to get a little bit easier. This section in particular, mostly because these guys, as you can see, are super easy. There are some of them that do other things, of course, as I proceed to miss them. But you can also jump on these garbage cans, and you notice that it's actually flattening them when you do. Sometimes a piece of candy will pop out, and that'll give you 1 free health. And there are a lot of these garbage cans along the way. I guess these people just never pick up their trash. I'm really not sure. Some roaches along the way, that's always fun. Yeah, so most of this you can, I mean, like these you could just run through if you really wanted, which I guess I should have done because that ended up going rather poorly. But just more of these spiders. These just go back and forth, so it's easy to just time your jump. You do not want to fall down here, because that's bad news. No, this is not earlier in the level. I know there was another room like this, but it's all one self-contained building. So let's try that again. Yeah, it's not worth messing with those spiders at the bottom because the pellets that they shoot out, like, there's just no getting close to them. Little interlude section here. We've got some flying chainsaws. They don't really even bother. I guess they're possessed. I was gonna say, like, they don't bother to explain it, but, you know, figure it out yourself, I suppose. So we can basically, what I like to do is try to jump and get to them. That was extremely bad. I got hit by the very slow-moving chainsaw on the floor there. Kind of no excuse for that. And the first time I played this, I thought we were under some kind of a time limit because, you know, the chainsaw at the bottom is like sawing the floor in half, so like I thought the floor was gonna fall out from under me if I took too long, but nope. And this one is, the reference is pretty obvious, you know, the monsters exploding out of the girl's chest. So this one can actually be pretty tricky. The ones on the ceiling will sort of drop down on you. They'll home in and try to drop down on top of you. The thing with those is that if you let too many of them get out like this, that's when it can start to get kind of tough to dodge. The thing with the ceiling spiders is that they will charge at you quickly once they hit the ground, so you can actually just jump over them most of the time. You know, if there's something else that you need to deal with, then you can sort of jump and that'll buy yourself some time to let them go underneath you. Otherwise, I like to sort of keep them in the middle, because the spiders that come out will always go either to the left or to the right, the ones that drop straight on the ground. So that way you can sort of just deal with these in the middle and then deal with the floor spiders on their own. There we go. She wakes up, oh man, that was a strange dream, and just sort of walks off. Not really sure who she's supposed to be, but I guess she's fine. That's good. Got some jumpy pumpkins here. There we go. See, look, the health recovery is just flowing. I mean, that's 3 health recovery right there. This one on the ground is kind of annoying. Shoots the pumpkin projectiles straight out. That can get a little rough sometimes. Oh, that was kind of bad. But there we go. We got a couple health recovery anyway. I think there's another one in here. No, maybe not. Go. Make sure we don't get hit by that one. And there we go, like we're almost back up to full health. And no, that is not some sort of alarm or a sign that we've done something wrong. I guess those are supposed to imitate these church bells. I don't know. I feel like they could have done a little better with that one. The sound design in general in this game is usually pretty good. That one's a little weak. It's kind of interesting. Guys, you know there are these blue zombie creatures in your church? You should probably take care of that. And we're back up to full health. Oh yeah, this looks perfectly normal, totally harmless. Weird ghost shadow summoner man, no problem. This is just normal. I mean, isn't this what you do on Sundays? Like, yeah, so these things, you can't hit them immediately. You've got to wait for a few of them to get on screen. Now, this can actually be tough to keep track of. They will dive like in the order they were summoned, but it's so difficult once they all get going back and forth to actually know which one's coming next. So your best bet generally is just stay far away from all of them. And also the summoner guy will turn into a goat. This section is extremely bad while there's still the things that are flying, but once you get down to just the goat, you can sort of just do this back and forth jumpy pattern. And that'll usually take care of it without too much trouble. So that's part of the reason why I guess it's good that there's a lot of health recovery along the way here, because man, that would be tricky if you had to go from like the last mini-boss to this one without any health recovery at all. So I guess it's good that they throw that in there. Yep, of course. I thought I hit him before he would have gotten to shoot that off. And that one also, but apparently not. Thankfully, plenty of health recovery, so even though I'm just screwing this up left and right, it's bailing us out a bit. Oh man, I almost just jumped right into that. Such a long arc, it freaked me out a little bit. Yep, just jump right on my head, that's good. And we can probably guess what's gonna happen here. Fly in this man, get in this weird, it's probably a combination machine. Science happens. I love the thing's face. It doesn't look sinister. It looks like it's messing with you, like it's a prankster or something. Like it just pulled some sick prank on you or something, you know? All right, so what I like to do is try to be aggressive with the first 3 and then let the 4th one go. The first and 3rd ones will chase you. The second one is just basically a projectile, so you can sort of ignore it for the most part, the 2nd and 4th ones. But if you're in a bad position, sometimes you just can't get to it. So I like to take out especially the 1st and 3rd ones, because that'll make it really difficult if you let those start buzzing around. I felt like I was right on them there, but I guess I got the little one instead. There we go. It only takes a few hits, thankfully, so it's not too bad. But there we get our experience. So we could go to the right here, and that would advance further, but what if we went in the machine? We're in Japan. Hey, all right. Yeah, that's how you get to Japan. I remember that. It's in all the traveler's guides, right? Oh, this is cheery. So we've got 3 doors here. I think only one of them is correct. The other ones will just send you back to the start of the level, so it seems kind of pointless. There we go. Yep, this is the right one. These are some kind of cultural thing in Japan. I've seen this enemy in a lot of games with Japan as the setting. I'm really not sure what it's supposed to be. But that's like a common thing. It's common enough that like I know it has to be some kind of cultural thing. So we can hop on these. It's not extremely clear where you can go, but we can sort of like jump up the roof here. And it's a little strange in terms of platforming, but you get used to it, I guess. Avoid the one-legged umbrella men. Oh yeah, these things are so annoying. Because their shots will like home in on you. So there's like no getting to them without just constantly getting hit. I've still yet to really find a good way to deal with these things. There we go, I guess that works. Ah, sliding doors, yeah. Oh, hello. So this girl's gonna do a dance for us here. If we want, we can hit a button and fart. Always good. It's always great to have a fart button in a video game. Interestingly enough, not the first game I've LP'd where you can make your character break wind with the press of a button. I'll leave you to figure out the other one if you don't remember. Yep, so we can just sit here and she'll dance for us and we can fart. We're just waiting for her to finish the dance. Which, you know, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful dance, but with only like 5 unique frames of animation, it's a little hard to appreciate. Gee, how rude you are. And she'll say, of course, she only says how rude you are if you fart during her dance. Otherwise, if you just sit there, she'll say, hey, welcome to Japan, here's a crystal ball. And now suddenly we find ourselves back at Diamond Lake. Ghost comes here with a ray. All right, not quite sure what that means, but that's what's happening, I guess. So another water level. This one's pretty simple also. We can sort of hop our way through, no real worries for the time being. And this is where we're gonna see our first weapon. We've seen the shotgun in, I think it was in the first Splatterhouse game also. It comes with 10 shots in this game, which is good. And it basically, they do a really good job. One thing I've always really liked about the Splatterhouse series is how powerful they make the shotgun feel. So I think it's because they just abandoned the whole, like, you shoot out projectiles which travel slowly, you know, to hit the enemy. I hate these things. I always get hit by them. Since they're not projectiles that are shooting out slowly and it just, boom, just instantly annihilates everything in front of you, it feels super powerful. Like that combined with the knockback, it just makes it so strong. In a way that you wouldn't get if, for example, the shotgun, when you press the button, it just shot out like 3 pellets in a spread pattern and then those killed the enemies, right? Like it would feel so much worse if that happened, but because of the knockback and just the instant annihilation of everything in front of you, it's just so well designed. You know, just the little game design things, I guess. If I were to ever design a game with a shotgun in it, you know, it's something I'd keep in mind. So a little jumping section here. This one's pretty simple. You just have to jump over the clearly not Jaws sharks. Whenever they come to us, this is a little quick. There we go. Come from behind also. And this one you kind of have to stop in order to let them both get by you. And no problem. Oh, it's also worth mentioning that getting that crystal ball refilled our health to full. Now, this is an interesting boss. I really like this boss because it's simple, but like it looks pretty cool in terms of what you do. So this guy will appear above you and then shoot out these pellets in this sort of spread pattern. Then he'll dive down on you with a fork, I guess. So if you're in the right position, you can nab him when he gets down. He actually has a pretty big hitbox, so it's really not as hard as it looks. Oh, you can even get him if he's literally directly on top of you. Like, that's how big his hitbox is. So, oh, couldn't get there in time. Oh, I shouldn't have jumped. I think I would have been fine if I didn't jump. But yeah, the fact that there's just like no music or anything else going on is like relatively simple. This boss is like really cool for some reason in a game where the bosses are sort of more lighthearted and, you know, parody-like. So it's Diamond Camp, Ghost's house. Oh, what's up, Ghost? Going over to your house, man. So a new mechanic here, we can chop down this tree. Kind of neat. I guess you don't do it outside of this stage and only in a couple places, but sure is something. Now these guys, their bodies will detach and we have to avoid the pellets they shoot. Obviously the jagged trees will hurt you if you land on them, so make sure you don't do that. You can touch the sides of them and everything and be fine, just don't land on top. All those bats up top are just kind of there for environment, though they will hit you if you jump into them, so you might want to wait a second there. Also like the lack of music here, just sort of more environmental sound effects, trying to emulate a cricket chirping, I guess. It's, you know, you do what you can with NES hardware. And I like this music. The music in this game is generally alright. It's not super inspired or anything, but this one in particular I kind of like. It's sort of mischievous. Like, it's not super horror-y, you know, like they could have done. This section, I've never been able to do this without taking at least one hit. Mostly because of this. Like, you can't get over those two without doing a long jump, but if you do a long jump, you hit the spikes up top. These guys can be annoying. They'll shoot out words at you. There you go. So you can scroll them off screen if you're moving to the right. So what I like to do is just generally try to keep moving and jump whenever they die, because they'll shoot them out at kind of your level. So if you're in the air, you can usually avoid it and then scroll them off screen before they do anything to you. This one's a little rough, but yeah, we should be safe here. Thankfully, those don't hit you on contact, so. And just watch out for these spiders. I wouldn't advise trying to kill them for experience or anything. You don't need it that badly. It's better off to just be safe. Oh, that was bad. At least I got one of those back. Whoop, that was kind of close. Gonna chop down another tree here. And this one's tricky. If you chop down this one, you actually cannot make this jump safely. You've got to get, yep, well, I still got hit anyway. It's a little tough because like you keep moving after you land, so it's very easy to just continue onto the spikes like I did. That's a really tricky jump, but you know, you should be able to get away with only getting hit once max. So these, we just bait the buckets to fall. They'll bounce a bit, so it's worth just baiting them and then moving out of the way. This last one we can jump over, and we're good. And this next boss, obvious Wolfman reference, I'm guessing. He'll jump at us, and then he'll shoot out some projectiles. What I like to do is sort of wait him out. That was sort of just a bad pattern. There you go. If you just get to a spot where you're free, you can sort of jump into him, and that'll let you make sure you're clear of all the pellets, and also get your shots in. Sometimes he'll charge you a little bit quicker, though, so... I think it depends. Oh man, okay, I don't like this. I've never fought him from that side before. Get back over there. So we managed to drive the wolf spirit out of this child here. And he's gone. So, you know, I don't claim to be the biggest classic horror movie buff or anything. I definitely not. That's I don't watch a whole lot of old movies especially, but just movies in general, really. So, you know, a lot of these references are probably getting past me, but... you know, if you catch him out there, that's cool. I've been told there are a ton of them, and obviously some of the obvious tropes, you know, like the Wolfman stuff. The aliens exploding out of the chest type thing. You know, obviously those are references that are pretty globally significant, but in terms of specific stuff, you know, I'll probably miss a few things. So this part can be kind of annoying. You'd think that this is like a bottomless pit. I guess thankfully they were a little bit nice on you. If you fall down through the bridge and like into the bottomless pit below, you don't actually die. It just sends you back to the start of the level. You're essentially just falling back to the beginning. With these bats and the shotgun knockback, it can be a little tricky. Also, if you stand on any part of that bridge for too long, they will start to fall away. So it can be really easy to either rush and jump in a hole accidentally or spend too long and just fall down, by the game's design. So these little pools, I've been able to stand in them before. Okay, they do hurt you when you jump in, but you can just jump right out. I imagine if you stay in there, this one's a little rough. There you go, just wait it out and he'll fall through. And I'm taking all kinds of dumb damage that if I was playing the Splatterhouse arcade game, for example, I would pretty much be dead by now with all the damage I'm taking. But this game is considerably easier, thankfully. I'll talk about it more at the end once we kind of summarize, but I feel like the difficulty's in a really good place in this game. I've not really struggled too far, but I've played through it a number of times before, so the story will be completed soon. Well, that's good. And you notice, one thing you do also notice that I will talk about at the end is that there isn't really a lot of enemy variety. It's, there's a lot of these purple hands, there's the pumpkin guys, there's the zombies, there's this guy. So there's actually a couple things you can do here. I'm gonna make a save state real quick. I'm playing on an emulator. And there we go, that'll do it. Little hiccup there and a message. So if we walk up to this guy, he will actually grab hold of us and stick us in this weird chomper machine. And you think, oh man, game over. But no, we come out of the grave again. I guess we're just immune to dying. We can go through the door. And we end up with another one of these sections. Which I'm not concerned about getting hit, because as you may have guessed, this isn't going to persist, so I'm just gonna try to hit these things as quickly as I can. There we go. This room kind of sucks. I don't know how there are so many of these guys, but thankfully they die in one hit. And that would be bad if they all took the same number of hits that the mini-boss did. Make this room take a little while to get through. And we end up here. This is basically the Junction Point. But obviously we missed some stuff. So I'm going to hit the button and that'll load us back where we were. Now if we slowly advance instead of just running into this guy, we can actually get to this door that you might have seen back there. He'll walk off and we can go back here, and going through this door we find ourselves in Egypt. That's normal. The music here is also kind of interesting. It goes pretty quick. that little run is kind of neat. So this pyramid can be a little tricky to get through, but thankfully it's like Japan in that once you get through it, your health will be refilled. So we can grab this shotgun, there we go. Pretty much any collectible you see on the ground here is going to be a trapdoor. If you fall through the trapdoor, again, it's not death, it just sends you back to the beginning of the level, so a little bit forgiving, I guess. It can be a little annoying if you get a few screens in and then fall back to the beginning. Do not mess with that Sphinx head or that mummy head or whatever. Because these things, as far as I know, can't die, and they will actually just keep hitting you over and over. Also, I like the little hieroglyphic man. I'm pretty sure he's flipping us off, so that's good. Yeah, I'm sure people drew that in Egypt a lot. Yeah, so see, he won't die. He will just sit there and reform, and he'll just keep getting hit. Oh, there we go. Managed to grab that. You can grab those. The hitbox on that, since that floor is slanted, it's a little bit weird. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly where you'll fall and where you won't, but you can grab those. I would advise against it though, because like I said, once you finish this, your health will be refilled anyway, so just kind of a needless risk. This one, unfortunately, we cannot fart during. This Egyptian lady now is going to, I guess, do a little dance for us, if you call having two different poses on the ground a dance. But who am I to judge? I'm not a patron of the arts. What I want to know is how they got all this neon lighting stuff in the background. Was Egypt really that advanced? Did aliens build the pyramids after all? And she's going to give us a second crystal ball. As you may have guessed, these crystal balls are sort of optional, hidden things. They don't unlock anything huge. It's not like there's a big secret level or anything at the end. And also, this is the room that we were dropped down in. So like I said, that was sort of the junction point. So we need to make our way through these clocks. I don't know how they just have an endless supply of hands, but they do. So we'll just jump our way through here. This is not too bad as long as you notice the safe spot and then stand in it, waiting for the next one so we can jump through. Oh, well, that was bad. Again, though, just the beginning of the level. An arcade game, that would have been death for sure. Oh, well, okay. Take it a little bit slower here. I'm rushing a bit. Okay. There you go. There you go. And that's good. Oh, that was not good, but I'm alive. Okay, alright. Yep, sure. That's fine, just lose half our health there. Doesn't matter. Not one bit. It actually doesn't matter that much, because if I am where we think we are... Okay, yeah, we're getting close. Just a couple. I think there's actually just one more room after this. These bats that sort of hone in on you can be really annoying. I mean, it's kind of the classic trope. The classic trope of bats in video games are just notorious jerks. This is an optional boss you can go in if you don't go in the obvious door. We can fight these little poo monsters that come out of the toilet, I guess. I don't know. Pretty simple, just a steady stream. I guess this is here for if you somehow didn't collect enough experience, then we can kill the plunger and that's it. Don't get anything for this. Unfortunately, there is no button to use the toilet. Which, there's a button to fart, like, do you need to go, man? There's one right here. It's not haunted anymore. Alright, so now we can go in the obvious door. Oh yeah, these skulls are kind of a pain. I like to just kill the one that moves really quick, and then ignore the other ones that aren't in the way. Oh, well, okay. Fair enough. It's a good shot. Okay, yeah, so for this one, the slow-moving bats, as you can see, they won't actually hurt you, but they'll try to drop you in the pit. It can actually be somewhat helpful, though, because you can use that time to kill the other ones that are also up there, and then you can move while you're in the air, so it's not like they will just drop you in the pit automatically or anything, so, I don't know, help you out a little, I guess, actually. Alright, more of these things. Again, just jump after you kill them. You can pretty much just run. I only got hit once. I think that's an acceptable trade for how long it would have taken to be safe. Alright, now this is actually the room before the final boss. There's a vending machine here, a little bit of a secret. If you hit up while you're at the vending machine, you can actually drink a soda and recover 6 points of health, which is nice. And this room will actually lead us to the final boss. So a bit of a seizure warning on the floor there, as there was also earlier in this game. I'll put up a text note or something, because that can be really bad. So this final boss, I think, is incredibly disappointing. If they had actually a cool final boss, this game would have been like NES Classic for sure. But this final boss, like, it takes too long. This is it. You've seen literally the entire fight at this point. It's just repeating this over and over. You just avoid the projectiles he shoots out. There's a safe spot directly underneath him, but also you can stand off to the side and just jump into the gaps. And then after that, he'll sort of fly around the screen. It's in a completely linear pattern. This never changes, so you can always gauge where he's going to be. And then we just do this over and over, and it takes a ton of hits. It takes forever. So you're going to be saying this a lot. Not too much to say during it. So yeah, I was in a pretty bad position there, and I still managed to dodge it. I also just walked right into it, but we've got so much health at this point, like, it's really not gonna matter. So we'll just stand here while he does his thing. Oh, well, okay, that was pretty bad. That was also pretty bad. But no, still fine. We've got a ton of health, so. Okay, well, that was a bad position. I'm just being sloppy at this point. I'm, like, not even really watching what he's doing at all. Nope, we're not done yet. Still more. Also, you know, aside from the fight design of the final boss being pretty bad, the fact that it doesn't have, like, its own music or anything, you know? Like, it just feels... The first time I played this, like, I didn't know this was the final boss. I'm like, oh, there's gotta be something after it, right? Like, I know this was the guy in the intro cutscene, but, like, it can't just be this, can it? Nope, still not done, by the way. Still at it. Like I said, this just takes way too long, and it's not interesting. I'm just getting hit so many times. Like, I'm not getting hit because it's difficult. I'm getting hit because I'm bored. Like, that's literally the difficulty part of this. All right, that'll do it. Like, I generally don't have any problems with flashing lights in video games, but like, even that one, like, that makes my eyes hurt. Like, I don't know who thought a 60 hertz black to white flashing effect was a great idea, but, well, we killed the jack-o'-lantern king, or whatever his name was, I don't know, it's not explained. I managed to rescue Jennifer, and all is well with the world. Oh, wait, what's this? That was some damn fine acting. It was a movie all along. Twist ending. I love it. It's so stupid, but I guess it fits the atmosphere. That's why everything was a parody or a movie reference, right? I also love his laugh animation. I don't know, why does the director have such a weirdly oblong head? It's like way longer than it should be. So it was all just a movie, all fake. Or was it? And that's Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti. So for getting the 2 crystal balls, you get these 2 little extra scenes at the end. 2 are happy, shows them sitting on a hill. Aw, isn't that romantic? And then the second scene, until tragedy strikes, very reminiscent of the intro scene from the very first Splatterhouse game, of course. So, I think this was the second Splatterhouse game made, like I said. I think it was made after the original arcade game, but it's sort of a prequel. So, it's the first in the series, I guess. I don't know. But that's Splatterhouse. Fortunately, the movie Splatterhouse has completed. Thank you, you are great. I'm almost positive, like I'm 99% sure. I've never seen the original Japanese text, but I'm like 99% sure the winners don't use drugs thing was like some kind of joke added in. Like, there's no way. That was a US general's warning or whatever, I don't remember. But it was some US department that got that put on all the arcade machines, right? Like, there's no way that would be in a Japanese game. That's not even, there's no way that's even a reference over there, is it? So here's the credits. Not too many people actually worked on this game. It's a very quick credit sequence, but, you know, the ones who did a pretty good job. And that's Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti. So, it's a good game, honestly. Like, it's way better than it has any right to be. It's sort of relatively unknown, you know, mostly because it's a Japanese game, obviously. But, you know, it's a great game. In terms of NES standards, like, there are a ton of NES hard, you know, there's a reason that's a term. There's a ton of NES hard platformers that are just unforgiving and unrelenting. And, you know, games like, I'm gonna just talk about another game here, but Ninja Gaiden is like a really good game, but it's so unrelentingly frustrating that, like, it just isn't fun. So if that was that game with that style, that music, you know, that gameplay, but they just like cut the number of enemies in half, like that would be a good game. It would have been really easy for this game to fall into sort of a similar trap, especially with the way, you know, Splatterhouse Arcade was, and even just, I guess, Splatterhouse on the Spectrum. I don't remember what console there was some port, Amiga or something. I don't remember. There was sort of a family version, but you know, it was still the same game. So it could have easily fallen into that trap, but thankfully it didn't. The difficulty, I think, is in a very good spot, almost slightly easy. So this is a good game to just pick up, spend half an hour with, you know, if you just want to do some platforming. The controls are tight, so there's not really anything to complain about. It's just the right length and everything, so vastly underrated. Definitely one worth playing for yourself if you'd like. So that's gonna do it. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti. There's a little bug. I'm not sure if it's with this ROM in particular or if it actually happened in the game, but if we hit start here, it just resets the credit sequence, so there's no way to actually get back to the game. I'd have to reset. But, yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you have a wonderful Halloween, and I will see you for whatever comes next. Thanks for watching. See ya.